We're here with a very special guest. Pleased to have him with me. This guy's been doing quite a lot in his career. You know, a lot of mutual friends. Definitely been touring over the world, seeing everything. Good to have here with me reggae music artist Suckarie.
Blessed time. Glad to be here.
What's been going on these days?
Man, a lot, working on new music, getting set to release other artists' music and different things that I have my hand in, but a lot, man. And I can't wait to share it with the world. But there's a lot of little nuggets being worked on right now, and I can't wait to kind of just offset it and then be like, all right, what's next? Let's go again, So can't wait for the world to hear what I'm working on.
We're just talking a few minutes ago. You've been doing quite a lot of your music career. You just dropped recently released single.
Well, the last one I did was a feature. That one's called That Girl Is a Writer with my homie Deuce The Truth on his album. I hope people go stream that because that song is fire. And then before that, I dropped a feature, not a feature, but a collaboration with a good friend of mine from Arizona called Rub Down on the Zona rhythm. So that's been, bubbling the place right now. I just actually saw the Spotify Wrapped, and that sounded pretty well in 2022. So, you know, time to up the ante and kind of just push out some more music to the world because we're working on a lot right now. So just, keep streaming. We love that. And definitely, can't wait to share the new stuff with everybody.
August 21st of 2020, you released your album When the Trumpet Sounds.
Yeah.
Talk about that album. You know, what was the creation behind it? What is your favorite song on the album? You know, as I mentioned before, we have a lot of mutual friends in the music scene.
Yeah, we
What
do.
was it like? What was it like working with Clayton William and that single "Drop It Down"?
So let's say I'm gonna give a bit of back history, right? I met Clayton through a good friend of mine. We call ourselves cousins, basically, right? His name is Black the Dancer, and he was working in the studio in LA. I had just been living here for a few months, and get to the studio. We meet Clay, and I literally worked with Clay for a year before he knew exactly who I am. So I was in a band previously called New Kingston. We toured the world. From that now, I've gained a lot of notoriety and then a lot of friendships from that. I would say the most I ever got being an artist is a lot of friendships, right? Solid one. So one of those became Clay. We met, we worked in the studio for a year. He didn't know nothing about me as New Kingston. I had just cut my dread, my locks, my antennas, and nobody could recognize. He had just moved back to San Francisco. I invited him to a show and he's like, bro, you're in New Kingston? And he starts breaking down New Kingston to me and, the things he's learned and his scene from San Jose because our management was from Oakland. So shout out to IMG and the whole camp because it branched off into a different world. So with Clay now, we worked on, we have hundreds of other records that the world hasn't heard yet. Trust me. We even worked on some more recently. So Clay and Drop It Down was just a vibe. It was just such a electric energy and it just snapped and we dropped it and people liked it. My mom still plays that song. My mother-in-law, my father-in-law, the whole family. It's like literally their favorite song. And it's like about dropping it down. It's crazy. They're funny. Whenever I need to refocus or do anything, I'll listen to two songs from that album, right? There's one called Glad, which is the one done with my kids, and I'll listen to When the Trumpet Sounds. It was a lot of, work to put that album together because COVID had just hit. I had just left LA to Miami, and I was like, I got to do this album and finish, all this music I have because as musicians, we just go in the studio, we create, and sometimes they sit there ideas just sit there for years, months, and whatever, and they don't get released. And I was like, we had just taken a pause from me touring the world because we did a lot of touring as a band with New Kingston. So sometimes that impeded, creation and music. And when I came home, every time I was home, I was always making music. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna take a chance on myself. I remember coming to New York, just to give you why I call myself Suckarie. And I moved to New York in 1998. I looked in the phone book and I searched for Suckarie, and it was one person named Suckarie in the book, right? It probably still the same way now because nobody's really in the book like that. But it was my aunt, and I was like, all right, I'm about to push the Suckarie name forward, right? So I said, boom, I call myself Suckarie. I dropped my first single from that album, Or Love, song I wrote about meeting my wife, and just how we connected and the things that, I initially started the whole thing and then put it out. Everybody loves that song. Still didn't get to shoot a video because, different things happened throughout COVID that kind of impeded artists and creators and entertainers and people, of our career style. So it was kind of hard to put out music without having the backative of what I needed, When it came to my band, sometimes, of course, because of how we put that out, big up to Easy Star, they have a support system. Solo artists, you got to find your way. So I did that. I called all my friends. I put in the work. I put it together, and then boom, I put this project out there. I'm still proud of it, and honestly, I don't think the world's heard it yet. So please check it out. When the Trumpet Sounds, it's available everywhere. But a lot of friends and different collaborators went into that album, and I'm really proud of it. And I can't wait for you to hear the other ones that may come after.
You've been traveling over the world for quite some time. You're from St. Andrew, Jamaica. What do you miss about home? I know you traveled to New York. You're there for quite some time. You're in Miami, you're in LA. So what's the transitioning process been like for you?
For me, St. Andrew, Kingston and St. Andrew, as we call it, it's a city living, right? It's a city. And the hustle and bustle is quite the same as it is in New York and Miami and Houston and kind of LA. Those cities are kind of synchronous, in the way they move and the pulse that they have, right? But in Jamaica, it's just a vibe, right? It's very energetic. The people are just, you can't find them anywhere. Of course, we spread out all over the world. There's no place in this world I think you can go where you won't find a Jamaican. But the vibe in Kingston and St. Andrew is electric. You know what I mean? The connections that are there in such a small country, such a small city, the connections that are garnered from this, that cross the world, and the things that come from this one little place, this little rock as we call it, is very immense. I saw a thing yesterday. I don't know why they posted it, but Bob Marley versus Michael Jackson, right? They're like, Bob is bigger. It's just two different impacts, you know what I mean? But look at the conversation that they're having about this guy from Jamaica, you know what I mean? So it's the impact is always felt there. The energy is always felt there. It's just this vibe that is untouchable. Honestly, you can't create that vibe anywhere else in the world. And I miss it. I haven't been able to, like you said, we travel a lot. So I'm not always in Jamaica. A lot of my friends come and I see them, in the States or in Europe or different places over the years, but it's not the same as, just being able to just step out and just pull up around the road. That's this guy, that's that guy, that's, this lady, that's this person you grew up with, so I miss the energy, I miss the vibe, but it's electric, it's immense, and it's a little dangerous as well. Honestly, like any other city. Mm-hmm.
But overall, the transitioning process has been pretty good for you though so far, because you've been
Absolutely.
Now you're in LA, and
yeah, definitely. As people like to say, where you live is not really your home, so this is a place where you just come to network and make your antennas a little longer, and eventually it becomes a place where you set your stones or set your grounds, and I miss Jamaica, and I always want to go back. So my family and I go back as much as we can. So I actually need to go back right now. You're just making me think about Jamaica, because one thing I miss about Jamaica in general is Christmas. I think Jamaica has the best Christmas celebrations in the world.
You have always wanted to do music. It was your calling at such an early age. What can you say that you enjoy about music, and what was it about music that you wanted to pursue a career? Was there any other career goals in mind at the time before you wanted to pursue a career in music?
Growing up in Jamaica, education is a big thing, right? A lot of people strive to have that higher learning, right? And I wanted to be like a doctor. I have 5 uncles who went to the same high school I went to, which is St. George's College. When you go to this type of school, your ambition is kind of up there, and most schools in Jamaica. I'm not saying that about one or the other. It's just that your ambition is it's heightened when you go to these schools with these kids of doctors and grandsons of the Marleys, and different the mesh of people that go there, because the school is in the heart of downtown Kingston, right? North Street. and the most influential people go there, as well as the people from the community, right? So it's a good mesh of like the difference of Jamaica all in one place, and these friendships become massive, you know. And going to a place like that now, it was like, yo, the connections and the energy and the influence on music is very deep in that culture and that school, right? So for me, there was no other career. I wanted to be a doctor, but I was like, music just took over. Music and acting, and music has taken me away from acting, which I really love. But I'll get back to that at some point. But music chose me, and I chose it as well. You know, so for my mom, I'd be missing literally, like can't find me. All she has to do is listen for me, and I'm probably in a cupboard somewhere, banging with a pot and spoons, or you know. And I just found this out the other day, actually, speaking to one of my uncles. So big up to my uncle Brian, but I'm Uncle Austin. But my mom was telling them that, oh, he's giving me so much trouble. He's always hiding and he's always doing this. And then they were like, yeah, but he seems like he has a knack for music. You need to culture that. You need to provide a space for that to breathe. And you know, she did. She herself is my mom's a great singer. I can't wait for an idea that I have to push the world for her, but she's also a great singer. And she pretty much pushed musical my musical abilities, you know. She played music every day. She played records. She was always singing. I have uncles who wanted to aspire to be artists. So I feel like I'm just carrying on that legacy, so to speak, you know, for that they wanted to pursue. And she pushed that, you know. She sent me to learn, you know, drumming and percussion instruments. She sent me to learn guitar. For myself though, I studied for years. I just locked myself away in a room and I would practice to sing, practice Usher, I practice this guy, I practice whatever music was it, because to me, reggae is R&B, right? We started from trying to emulate the music we were hearing from the States and things like that in the ska style, and then it changed to a different style, to a different style, till it became dancehall, and then dancehall became hip hop, and then all of that comes from Afro, right? So we're just playing the music that's in our heart, right? But for me, I would go down to the river. I live by a river, and there was like this big hill it's like a mountain. You know, it's a hill that people would go up. But for me, I'm at the bottom of it, by where I live. I would sing every day, and people would walk by. You sound good, youth. You know, give encouragement. And I just sat there in the water, writing songs, singing. This is long time of like 13, you know, 12 to 13 to 16, all the way up till I left to the States, you know? So my family encouraged that. They still do to this day. And I do that for my children as well, and my friends and anybody I see that, you know, has the knack for music. But music chose me and I chose it. You know, I wanted to be a doctor and other things, but all those things just faded away as time went on.
You mentioned a few of your inspirations, obviously, in music, forming a world-renowned band, New Kingston.
So New Kingston is basically the offspring of a band called the Kingston Crew, which started in Kingston by just three brothers who were in the band originally. New Kingston, that is. And that's Courtney, Leighton, and Tahir. Tahir's Preach, right, who you mentioned earlier. And then their father, Courtney Panton, right, had a band called Kingston Crew. So he started the band, playing in the band himself, you know, but he was also a touring musician himself. He was the musical director for Shaggy for years and toured the world with you name it, he's been there, right? And that was the beginning of the band. And then my mom has been friends with him, right? They consider us brothers because we've been around each other for so long, but we're not blood. They are. But I'm the adopted one in the family, you can call me, right? And my mom came one day. I even wrote a song about this on our album, our last album, called Come From Far. My mom came, brought me to the studio when I just moved to New York. I was 17 years old. I met Courtney Panton, and we started a bond, right? So I'd go to his studio in Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn, and I'd see all of the people I grew up listening to. In this studio in Atlantic City, you'd have legends like Dennis Brown, Pam Hall. His partner at the time in the studio with him is a man called Derek Barnett. Derek Barnett is one of the most influential bass players in reggae music, right? He had a band called Sagittarius. Their connection is from Jamaica. So there's a lot of friendships that are formed in Jamaica that last and span a lifetime, right? So we started that band. We our first gig was, I'll never forget, Halloween, 2001. We go to this one of my favorite little Jamaican restaurants in Yonkers, New York, from Brooklyn, right? We go there and we play, and the vibe of these young guys playing this reggae music was electric. You know, we're singing covers, of course, and doing all these things, but there we can't play a song straight through. We have to start it over every single. Everybody, old men are in there, you know, drunk, and it was electric. And we have a poster of that thing that's still in our studio to this day. There's a little poster of a picture that they took of us that day. Yeah, I can see it right now because it was always hanging in the studio. But from that brought us to continue, you know, doing the bar gigs, and then we went up to playing for artists, and then from playing for artists, you know, we started to develop. It was training for us, right? Because I was gonna go to college. I was in high school doing like Shakespeare orator contests and all these things, and going to NYU every weekend, just doing these contests and winning, and then I got, you know, things from Juilliard and you know, chances to kind of enter into these leagues, and I chose not to. I went to college on the road. I did it practically. So we toured with artists, we performed with artists locally. If you didn't have your band coming from Jamaica, we played for you, played all the festivals in New York. And from that, it was kind of, you know, we learned how to perform on a stage. We learned how to command a crowd. You know, they don't know who you are, some of these people, you know, so you have to dig in and just perform for yourself and be the best you can be for yourself. And then that translates to the audience. They're like, oh, they're killing it, you know? So big shout out to Courtney Panton, you know, started the game, and that was the beginning of New Kingston, and then, you know, the Suckarie journey as well.
Knowing that you've been having quite the success in your career, what is something that you wish you would have known when you first started out in your career?
It's hard to say, you know, because I've learned so much over the years, because that's what I do a lot. You know, I sometimes I might even speak, I might not speak, but it's because I'm studying. I'm studying. You have to be a people person, right? Because this music thing is about connections, right? You know, I'm not saying you have to be completely like a slave to the the needs of the interactions with other people, but at least be a people person. You know, if you have some people who have a bad rap as an artist because they're just, you know, nice people. So for me, I wish, what do I wish I would have learned? It's hard to say because I've learned so much over the years. You know, I've acquired some of the things that I wish I learned. But I'd say, as an artist, as a musician, work on the craft. You know, always be working on the craft, whether it is. So even if I'm talking to you right now, I'm working on something in the brain, because this machine right here is very powerful. But always be working on the craft. You know.
If you could describe yourself as an artist, because you know there's a lot of artists in Jamaica and whatnot, but if you can describe yourself as an artist, what makes you different?
You know, that's hard to say because a lot of artists in Jamaica do exactly the same thing. Not like me, just the style, right? Because like I said, we come from the branch of R&B. So for us, we're genreless. So I would say I'm genreless, right? I just make music. You can call me a reggae artist because that's always going to be my baseline. I'm a Yardie, I'm a Jamaican to the core forever. But I'm genreless. I make music. So if I make something today and I don't feel like it fit in the Reddit car, I'm going raw. If I feel like it's a pop record, it's going in the pop world. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm genreless to me. So that's what I would say. I call myself a genreless artist. I just make music.
Now, of course, you know there's been a lot of adversity that you probably would have had to have in your career, but
Hmm.
what has been some of the adversities that you had to overcome, and how did you achieve that success?
From the New Kingston standpoint, um, we started out as a band that supported artists, right? And I don't think many bands have transitioned from supporting artists to cutting that off to stepping away from that, and you know, standing on your own 2 feet like that. So I think that's been our biggest adversity, and still to this day we fight. You know, um, when we used to play for artists, you know, we used to be labeled as New Kingston Band, and then, you know, we tried to fight that faux pas for so many years. Like, no, just call us New Kingston, just call us New Kingston, just call us New Kingston, to a point where we just forgot about it. You know, but it's like that's the adversity we face. You know, being I guess respected for just simply wanting to be called a name that we're saying that we are, or whatever, you know. And of course, you know, it might be a little small, you know, little things like that. But the adversity of overcoming those boundaries to become an artist in your own right, to becoming peers with the people that you used to support, so to speak, you know? And guess what? It happens in all genres of music, right? Because, you know, you'll have an artist like Mariah who used to sing with other people and they say, you need to get out there and go sing for yourself right now, you know? So the support is the learning, right? So I take nothing away from that. But I'd say that's been the adversity, you know, being now recognized as a peer in the world of the genre.
Now, as far as your career,
Yeah.
what are some of the future goals? What are some of the future projects that we should be looking out for? As I mentioned before earlier, you've worked with lots of artists. Any future collaborations?
Lost so many, man. I want to work with Ty Dolla $ign. I want to work with Justin Bieber. I want to work with Janet Jackson, like some of my peers have done in the past. But just I want to work with people who are, you know, just doing their thing and just I'm fans of and I want to collaborate with. You know, it could be Shensia, it could be Shaggy, it could be anybody. But right now I'm working on a couple of projects. I'm working on something with Clayton as well as we speak right now. And my brother, his name is Torella. So he's from Nigeria, living in the States now, but got something working on him right now. I got a few collaborations with Dancer Mafia, who I'm doing a bit of A&Ring for. Just a bunch of dancers, so Black of the Dancer, King Kayak, and so many things working right now in the system. You know, Amanda Holly, Breaking Hits. There's so many things that are just, it's literally gonna go this, and then just all those little pieces are gonna connect, and it's gonna be like, oh, cool. But I'm working on a lot, just trying to be behind the scenes right now, producing for other artists, trying to develop other artists, and just trying to find my way as, you know, a transitional artist moving throughout the world, you know, and done so much. Now I'm trying to take on new challenges. So lots more to come on the music front. And just top of the year, we'll start to see some releases coming out. So I'll keep you posted on that because I don't have the full, you know, the full river flow of how things are going to move, but it's a lot of collaborations working on. But hey, I would love to work with some of the you know, I want to work with Beyonce. Why not say it, you know? So there's lots of people I'd love to work with, and you know, little by little I'll find my way in there. I want to shout out Jason Mraz, you know, and the Easy Star family, Michael Goldwasser. I've worked with him in the past, you know, never thought I'd work with a mega superstar like that, but you know, things like that. So more of that, you know, more of that vibe. And I wish I could work with Bob Marley, but you know, I'll take Steven, I'll take Damien, I'll take the whole camp, you know. Shout out to them every time, you know. Lots of collaborations I'd love to do, you know. I work with Hawaiian artists. I've actually never done a song with the Green, you know, so different things. I've done one with J Bug, but you know, so many more artists I wanted to shout out. Kimmy A.
What would you want your legacy to be?
Good music, good message. And for me, I write from life. So just listen to the stories and you can kind of learn about, you know, me as an individual and then kind of the things that I stand for and the things that are, you know, personal to me. So just the legacy is, you know, good stories, good thing. You know, Bob Marley's music has still been living on for so long, right? And it will live on generations after us. The Beatles, you know, the Earth, Wind and Fire, the Luther Vandross, you know, the every, you know, the Chronics even, you know, the music's gonna live on quite a while. So that legacy is what I want to live on, you know, always be able to be heard, which clearly it will be because, you know, as long as this music continues on, then that's, and I think I'm kind of there, but I have so much more to come.
Last question I have for you.
Ooh.
Experience a lot of different things. Do you have a favorite place that you performed? And as far as a favorite food or a favorite, favorite cultural food that, you know, you've been over the world, but.
Yeah. My uncle was a very damn good cook and he kind of groomed me to love like, and we call it an ITAL stew, right? And I think that's the meal that I can have no matter where I'm at. I can always find something to make an ITAL stew, right? Because it's just a vegetarian dish. So it's whatever is cooked up at that time. If I'm on a deserted island, I'm gonna find me some leaves and some stuff, and I'm gonna find me a coconut probably on a tree. I'm gonna bust that down, grater it up, make me some coconut milk, and make ITAL stew. Anywhere, anytime, any place, any country. Just don't ask me where the favorite place is, because That's the hardest one. I'd say Vanuatu. Let's keep it at Vanuatu. That was an amazing experience, the craziest one we've all ever experienced. Right there by Fiji, Australia area, Vanuatu. Craziest place and craziest story ever. Yep.
It's been a pleasure interviewing you, my friend. We're here with Suckarie. Wish you all the best, brother.
You too, man. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure talking and chatting with you, man. Big up every time, Justin.